Hello, Debbie here. Welcome back to Barossa Valley Crafts. Today we're going to make a magic colour slider card. So there's two ways you can do this. So this is one way. Pull the slider and it changes colour. So that's one. And this is the other way. So the colour changes at the top of the card and it stays blank on the bottom, which maybe if I do it that way you might see it better. So that's the other way. So this is the one that we're going to do today, and I'll show you how I have done it. So to start off with, the base card. Alrighty, so we have the base card, which is 8 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, or 21 by 14 centimeters. So it's 8 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, or 21 by 14 centimeters. Then score it. If you've got a scoreboard, that's great. If not, just use a ruler and a biro that doesn't work, or a blunt tool to score your lines. One at 1/4 inch and the other one at 4 1/2 inches, or 0.5 centimetre and 10.8 centimetres. So then you'll fold over that little 1/4 inch one there, and this top will fold over it. And then, now I've used a rectangle die. So I've opened the card out, placed this in the centre of the card, the front of the card, and die cut it. Now if you don't have a die machine, you can do it manually with scissors or a knife and a craft blade. You don't have to have a rectangle, you can do whatever shape you like. But for this particular one, I've done a rectangle. And I kept the piece that I cut out here, and I'll show you what that's been used for soon. So that's your base card. Now from the piece that was cut out here, I cut a piece that is 4 by 1 inch, or 10 by 2.5 centimetres, and then scored it in the middle and folded it in half. That is going to go on the bottom of the card. And then using just a hole punch, I just punched a couple of little circles, and that's to make the little pull tab part for the top. Then you need a piece of cardstock that is 5 1/2 by 3 3/4 inch, or 14 by 9.5 centimetres. And you need a piece of acetate exactly the same size. So that's 5 1/2 by 3 3/4 inch, or 14 by 9.5 centimetres. So you need those two as well. Then we need the slider mechanism. So to do that, you need a piece of card 5 1/2 by 7 3/8 inch, or 14 by 10 centimetres. Then mark in at 1/4 inch from each side. You can see there where I've marked the card, down to 1/4 inch from the bottom, and we're going to trim away these pieces so that you're left with a piece like that. So these tabs here are to stop the card from sliding right out when it's pulled up. So if I put that over there, you can see there. So we've trimmed away 1/4 inch down to 1/4 inch from the bottom on each side to give that. Okay. So now we're going to do some, and you'll also need some little foam squares. So now we're going to do some stamping. So I'm going to be using a Lavinia stamp for this one. It's called Forest Cap Toadstool. So that's the one we're using today. So getting our plain piece of card, so the one that's 5.5 by 3 3/4 of an inch. Now if you've got a stamp press, this is a great idea. If not, you can do it without, but you just need to be very careful in lining it up. So what we're going to do to start with your cutout piece here, actually we'll take it out of here first. So line up your blank card to fit in your base card, and just all I'm doing is I'm just putting 4 little dots, 1 in each corner, just so I know when I'm stamping to keep my stamped image within that shape. Okay, I'll just pop this back into place. And then I will put my stamp in the centre. So there's my 4 little dots. So my stamp is within that space. Now I'm going to stamp this card with Nocturne VersaFine Clear. So that's, I only ever use this stamping brand, like the VersaFine Clear, for stamping. And we'll stamp that image. Make sure you give time for the ink to absorb into the card. There we go. Actually, I'll just redo it a little bit more in the centre there. That's better. So now don't move your stamp. Keep it exactly where it is, because now you're going to stamp on your acetate, and because it's exactly the same size as the card that you just used, it will stamp in the same spot. So you need to make sure it's in exactly the same spot that you just did the other one. This time I'm going to use Stays On. Now I'm leaving the VersaFine Clear ink on the stamp to protect it a little bit, because the Stays On is what the name says, and it stays on. So it will stain your stamps. So I always clean it off as soon as I'm done. But you need this to stamp onto the acetate, because the other one will not dry on there. So I give it a good press. Make sure it's all stamped on there. And that looks pretty good. Okay, so now there's the stamped image on the acetate. So now put that aside to dry. And I'm going to clean off my stamp straight away, so the Stays On doesn't stain the stamp too much. So if I get the worst of it off, you'll never get 100% of that particular ink off, but at least I got the worst of it off. And I'll just dry that off, and that's done. So now, once your stamping is dry, you can then colour it in. So I've just used, what did I use there? I think I used Derwent pencils for my colouring in. So I did that a bit earlier to save a bit of time. Then on some stamping, masking paper, I've stamped the image again, and I'm going to peel the backing off this. And this is a low tack paper. so I can stick it over the top of my stamped image, because I want to protect it for what I'm about to do next. So I'm going to place that over the top of the image that I've already coloured in. If I can get it properly. Hang on, let me just... I'll try and remove some of the tacky because I don't want it too tacky. You can use pixie spray. There's a variety of brands of this masking paper available. This particular one is a Lavinia masking paper, and I got it from a shop in Tassie. I'll add the link to where I got it. Okay, so because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a bit of a background on the back of the card. So just got some normal copy paper. I'm just going to make some little hills. And using Distress Oxide Mowed Lawn, I'm just going to flick some colour down lightly to create some hills. And I'll do some up this way. You don't have to do this. If you like, you can actually stamp on paper that's already got a pattern or designs on it. Okay, I'll just finish that off. So there's some hills. And now I'm going to use Stormy Sky. I'm going to make some skies. There's some sky. So now I'm going to try and cover up some of the blending I've just done. And there's a bit more here. So again, you don't have to use this colour. You can use any colour you like to make your sky. Put some clouds going different ways. There we go. Actually, I might do some more just up here. There we go. So you can just see there the clouds and the grass. Now I'm going to remove my mask. And it's protected the picture underneath, so now it looks like they're in the background. Now this, because of the way this is, if you put that back onto your backing sheet, you can actually use that a few times. So I'll just store that on there. So now that's that part done. Now we're going to start putting the card together. So we're going to attach this one to the back of the card, just there. There, I'll just get some glue. So I'm just going to use some Turbo Tacky Glue. I'll just pop it on the back of the card. And attach that there. And then with the one with the acetate on it, make sure we've got it the right way. So I'm going to put some red tape down either side, and then we'll pop that into place. And I'll show you how to do it so that it matches up perfectly. Now this is where, if you didn't have the stamp press and you're just stamping freehand, you can manoeuvre things into place so that they match up. Oops. Doesn't want to cut. Oh. It's good tape. Very good tape. Try cutting it. There we go, that's got it. Oh, now I've got it stuck to everything. All right. So make sure you've got that stuck down well. And then we're going to line this up over the other picture. Remove the backing tape. Make sure you've got it lined up really well. And then we're going to fold the front over to pick that up. And then we'll remove the backing tape from the other side and put that on. And then folding your little 1/4 inch tab in, put some double-sided adhesive on that, and we're going to remove that. And then we're going to close this over. Oh, hang on. Before I do that, if you get your card that you've cut out for here, and then get your foam squares and place one on either side near the top. I'll just pull it down a little bit because I don't want the foam tape to stick out the top. So do one on each side. Now what that's for is when you're pulling your mechanism up, it doesn't come all the way out. So now take that off there. And then close over this. And then close this over. Here we go, so that's got that. So now we're going to pop this between your back and your acetate. And just push it up a little bit. Okay. There we go. So that's now how your picture will change. So what I'm going to do now is getting those little round circles that we made with the die punch. Pop the card down there and line it up so it's behind the framework on the front. Just put a bit of glue on this side and line those two up together. Push that into place. So that's now, if you wanted to, you could even write pull on there. So that's now that done. So now I'm just going to burnish the folds. And there we go. So that's now done. So now this other little piece that we had earlier, we're going to put that on the bottom here to stop this from coming right through. So just pop that back up into the card. Try this side. There we go. So just line your card up with that and fold that over. And then pull the backing off the back of it and do the same thing. And that's it. So there you have it. If you wanted to, you could put more decoration on it and more stamping. That's totally up to you. So when you're doing the other one, the base card is the same. But if I pull this right out, what I've done here is I have joined the colouring one and the acetate sheet at the top, and then the card in the base is only connected down either side, so that this will slide. The one with the picture will go behind that card, and the acetate will go in front of that middle card. So that will then allow that. So they're both the same, just a couple of little changes to suit whatever design you like. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. And I do have a couple of Facebook groups. One's called Card Making for Beginners and Beyond. The other one's called Barossa Valley Crafts. I'll add the links in the description. And if you'd like to join us, you're more than welcome. Show us your take on what you can make from these or any other cards. They don't have to be from my tutorials. They can be any cards at all. So we're not limited to brands. We like branded products though. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. If you have, do give me the thumbs up, and please feel free to come and join us on Facebook. Thank you for joining me. Bye.